And I don't want to click out of this. Oh, all right. Anakin versus Dash. Anakin sends Dash to losers. You said you want me to change it before we start? You said you want me to change it before we start? Alright. Hey, this how it works. Alright, it's changed. You want me to put it on open? Because I ain't had to change it last. I ain't had to change it last time. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it. "13 drivers. Let's get it." Time to fly out to Belgium, people.
Well, all right then. From the Danube River to the Ardennes Forest. Welcome along to Spa for round 11 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship and the Belgium Grand Prix. From its very first Grand Prix in 1925, everyone since 1985, we have seen history, heartbreak, and redemption for many of drivers here at Spa. But it's not an easy track indeed. Eau Rouge and Réunion, Pouhon and Blanchimont, and every corner in between. Spa is one Grand Prix on the calendar that will always be remembered. Well, speaking of Spa, the 4.35 mile, 7 kilometer circuit has 19 corners, 11 to the right and 8 to the left, with 2 DRS zones exiting turn 19 and at the exit of Réunion on the Camel Straight, to allow for plenty of chance of overtaking over the course of the 22 laps. A season ago, straight domination from the Mercedes of Brian Juggernog led to pole and 25 points after his win at the Belgian Grand Prix. Well, last season's pole, a 141.6, could be beaten. Well, who can do it? Well, now this season has started to heat up a bit, as the last 3 races we've had 3 different new Grand Prix winners, with Unsighted at Austria, and at Britain you had Feta, and at Hungary with Zenav. Well, can we make it 4 out of 4 here at Belgium? Speaking of the championship, Ritzy still leads the championship by 12 points clear of the McLaren of Bobina, who leads Unsighted, Zeno, Sweller, DXC, Facetas, Feta, Furcho, and Zenav, who rounds out the top 10. And in the constructor's side, McLaren leads Racing Point by 18 points. The gap is closing in a bit. Who leads after that is AlphaTauri and Red Bull after their maiden victory of the season for Red Bull, by the way, since Ninkaizudo in the first 3 rounds of the Grand Prix. Following them are Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, Renault, Williams, Ferrari, and rounding out the Constructors' Championship is Haas. Well, now I'm Hank Eitra alongside Tier 3 driver Echo. Well, first off, glad you're back after your week break from last week. But second off, what do you think? What skill sets do you think these drivers will have to use to master the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps?
Well, Spa is known as one of the longest tracks of the grid calendar, and we all know that the softs to medium is very doable. Goes 10 laps on those softs, you can go easy to the end on the medium stint. But after doing that, it's also known as a DRS train or slipstream chain. As you've seen in Tier 3, we had a big train in the first stint. Nobody could really gain any ground unless you was being too feisty. And yeah, not many overtakes being done, but you still had those close battles around the circuit. Every inch of the circuit is what you want to master. You cannot afford any mistakes, especially at the tier above 3, which is here in Tier 2. These guys are already known for making these DRS trains last. They already know how to keep it close to each other. Not many content has been made, but a lot of training in DRS overtakes has been done, as you know from the previous races in Tier 2. Excitement from me and Katja is here right now at the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, let's see here. First off, we have Feta. As you said, the soft to medium can definitely be doable. Well, let's look at Feta, who's on the medium right now, with a little bit of slipstream and tow from his teammate in Racing Points. A little bit of tactics, possibly trying to get Feta the pole, but a little bit of the loss of the back end going through Malmedy. So we'll see what he can do going into through Rivarge and now into No Name. It's going to be difficult, honestly, on those mediums. Because obviously, the mediums, if you get a safety car and everyone else can go to the hards, you obviously can do it as well, but you're not really going to take advantage of those medium compounded tire. So let's see who indeed starts on those mediums, or who takes the gamble to start on the hards. If you start outside the top 10, probably none will do so, but it's still a long way to go. 13 minutes in qualifying. Let's go look at that. Speaking through the rest of the grid, we had Ritzy in the Alfa Romeo. He's here. Bobina is here. That is our top 2 in the championship. Unsighted as well is behind him. Zeno cannot make it. Sweller is here. DXT and Facetas. DXT is here. Facetas is not. 13 drivers on the grid. So we'll see who exactly can take advantage of these extra points. 3 positions will not get points today. We're going through the final chicane through 18 and 19 on the mediums for the first qualifying lap of the day. What can Feta do? He won 2 weeks ago in Britain. He will go provisional pole with a 42.7 on the mediums, and behind him will be, I believe, the Alfa Romeo of Ritzy, 49.1 on the soft compounded tire. Let's see what he can do. His teammate Skeppy, he's also on a flying lap. He is invalidated and bailed out of it.
Well, you got another driver right behind him. That's Luis coming across the line. He's going to go up to provisional pole right now for 141.8. 2 tenths until the last year's pole time. these guys are already being quick to Juggernaut sign. Whew.
Yep. It's we've seen quite the step up from a season ago's pole times. It makes it look like child's play. Last season, it shows just the competition increase from this season and last season. So Killer has set a banker lap 2:01, and let's see who else is going to be. Bobina has invalidated. He was the next one up. Behind him is going to be last week's Grand Prix winner, Zanav, in the Red Bull. He's actually, I believe, he's on an out lap, so he's going to go start a lap pretty soon. Behind him is going to be Mercedes, I believe, of Ginger. So he'll go up through Blanchimont in a second, going through 16 now into Blanchimont now.
Speaking of a Mercedes, here comes a Mercedes around the last two corners of this track. Can he get a good exit at this last chicane? Here he goes, and he's getting a good exit. Goes on that DRS, and he goes up to a 142.8. Not really optimal for a soft time, but we got another person that just crossed the line. Sweller Stream on the medium compound tires with a 142.7. Not bad for the AlphaTauri.
No, it is not indeed. So, like I said, Skeppy's already backed out. There was a little bit of exchange in positions going through Blanchimont. Ritzy was going ahead. I believe that was going to be the Renault, and maybe actually Zaizu his first time. But yes, it is. He's invalidated. He's going to try again. Behind him is going to be the Racing Point, I believe, of DXD Ishigo, who actually... oh, no, sorry, that's Feta. And behind him is going to be Mercedes. So we have Zinav and Furcho. Furcho is abandoning his lap on the mediums. And Killer, let's see if he can do anything on his lap at the moment.
I am not able to look at the standings, so
I
can't say how well Ichigo has been doing this season. But from on track and from memory, he has been looking pretty consistent, but hasn't cracked the top 3 yet. He's gotten close, I think, 2 times, but hasn't done it. If I'm not mistaken.
I can tell you that right now. We'll go look up, because I know he definitely had one in Holland in the Dutch Grand Prix. So he's, yeah, here we go. DXD has had one singular podium at the moment, a 3rd place in Holland.
Okay.
So, let's see what he can do. So Zinav is going through the final corner now, which, here we go. He's on the mediums, and he's set a 42.4. Behind him is going to be a Mercedes. I don't know if that's going to be starting or finishing. That is going to be, I believe, a continuation of a lap. A 42.444 for Ginger. He's actually now gone up ahead of Feta, who's actually put on the soft compound tire. So let's see who exactly goes and takes the risk onto those softs. The next one going up is going to be through 16, now into Blanchimont, actually through Blanchimont down into the final chicane as DXD Ishigo. Like we said, we talked about him. It has won podium this season, and he's going to be looking for a podium today. Through the final corner, up to the line. He's P8 the win. He's P3, 42.003 for the Racing Point driver.
Not bad from Ichigo, but still 42 is not really optimal if you want to be in Tier 2 up at the top. We already got 2 guys in the 41s and looking to crack down some more of that time. So what can the rest of these guys get? Some medium drivers are already doing well for themselves doing some 42s. But if they decide to go on them softs, it's going to really put Luis and Ritzy at a bit of a worry state, worrying about what these medium drivers are going to do.
Well, another team, or I guess driver in this case, that is in a worried state as it may, is definitely going to be Bobina. Obviously, he does not have his teammate Zeno to back up, and like we said earlier in the pre-race show, that Racing Point's actually gained a bit. They're 18 points back on McLaren in this constructor standings, and Feta and DXD both are here and both are looking a little bit pacey, so Bobina's going to be the only one flying the flag here at McLaren. So it's going to be difficult for him to really try to gain those points. So it's going to have to be up to both Racing Point drivers and another invalidation. He had one through Pouan, and that was through Malbany right there for the McLaren driver. So speaking of him, so
well,
it's usually how it works. If you talk about him, they usually do something.
I think Bobina is just filling out the track at the moment. Yeah, you don't want to do that on the sauce, but I got courage in Bobina. He has already proven himself to be a good ally to Zeno in McLaren, a great fit for McLaren actually. So I don't think Zeno have to worry too much. He has his teammates to rely on since he can't be here, and just put all his faith into him for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yes, it's against the Racing Points that already set blazing times when they when they came up and paired with each other. Feta moving up from tier 3 to tier 2 and is doing very well for himself. He's already proven a good match for McLaren's and already proven a good teammate for Ichigo. So we'll have to see what Bovian could do against these two blazing racing points in the Mercedes engine.
So going through, obviously we had a little bit of a scruffle through the final sector. Zanav trying to make way for his teammate Fercho. Fercho, he obviously had a good finish at Britain. Actually, Red Bull as a whole was on a pace to get a great finish, actually, at Silverstone, but unfortunately it did not pan out. And ever since then, Red Bull was looking at what could have been. As you saw a week ago, Zenev actually grabbed the victory at the Hungaroring, so let's see, Fercho is going to give a little bit of redemption. Like I said, it's a track that definitely can provide redemption races for some. Let's see if Fercho can definitely grab it. Another driver who needs a little bit of redemption, Shamrock, who I was just on a second ago. He needs another good race, as he had a great showing last week in the Hungaroring. He unfortunately could not grab points, got P12, his highest finish to date here in Tier 2, but he's only had 2 races, so he's going to see if he can try to break through that barrier, grab some points. He has only 13 drivers on the grid, so there's definitely a possibility for him to grab that first points finish for Haas, actually, since Vietnam. So going through the final corner, we see talk about Fercho. He needs a good lap here. Luis, the provisional pole was a 41.2. I just now realized that. Fercho goes at 41.9. Third driver to grab and dip into the 41s. Behind him, I believe, is going to be Zaizu. No, it's not. It's going to be his teammate Killer. Killer, does he improve? Yes, he does. 42.0. Almost dips in to the 141s as well. Shamrock goes up to P9, 42.5, ahead of Feta and Sweller. Feta's on a flying lap. He's going through the Eau Rouge Radion complex now onto the Kimmel Straight. He's going to see what he can do there. But the only driver who is yet to set a time that is on the track right now is going to be Zaizu in the Renault, who's actually, Killer's been invalidated. I don't know if he was going again, but regardless, he's not going this time. So it's going through Zaizu, going through the Savilo 1 and now into Savilo 2. It's going to be difficult here because it can definitely snap around on you if you're not careful through Savilo 2. Now into 16 and into Blanchimont. It's quite easy flat in these modern day Formula 1 cars. Those that were probably not as easy to do in the years past. Well, it's pretty much a no-brainer to do here in the Formula 1 cars of today. Through 18, now into 19. It's going to be a little bit tricky here. For traction, he goes up to the line. He is at P13, no time set for the Renault. He goes to P5, Max was his teammate, and about less than a tenth separates the boys at Renault. The next one up is going to be, I believe, it's going to be Feta. Like I said earlier, he needs a good redemption race as well. He had a pretty great race a week ago, but it could not be matched as good as a race it was 2 weeks ago at Silverstone when he grabbed that illustrious Grand Prix victory. Can he make it the second one on the season? He's going to go up to the line now, P11, 42.7. He goes provisional P2, a 41.4, 2 tenths clear of Ritzy.
4 minutes left in this qualifying, and you already got Feta and a couple of other these medium drivers are already fitting on their softs. So, yeah, like you said earlier, and like I said earlier, these medium tires are not going to stay on long. They're going to want to go to that soft medium strategy.
We'll see how everyone goes through. So far as everyone has bolted on the softs, another one who has is Sweller in the Alpha Tower. He's now P4 ahead of Fercho and the Red Bull 41.7. That is 5 drivers in the 41s. And 3 of them actually have come close. Actually, no, 2 have, and 1 has come close to beating the pole from a season ago. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Can we see a 40? Is that going to be a pole position? Let's have it in the comments in the chat below. Who do you think is going to be your pole sitter for the Belgian Grand Prix here at Tier 2? My bet, it's going to be on Luis. There, I said it. My first predictions comes at Spa for that.
I got Feta. I ain't gonna doubt Feta. He has pace. He's made a couple of mistakes here and there this season. But at the same time, Feta has pace. You know that. Everybody sees it. He belongs in Tier 2, and he's shown that already in Silverstone. And he's looking to already capitalize on his little streak that he got going on. of consistent finishes. So, well, it looks like right now he's actually getting towed to his teammate Ichigo, who is right behind him. Ichigo getting a good little slipstream from his teammate. Coming up to the last two corners, will Ichigo go up into the top 5 from that little help from Racing Point strategy? He comes around the final corner, puts on the DRS, crosses the line, and goes up into P5 with a 141.9.
That's another one into the 41s. Look how close it is between the likes of DXD and Furcho, the Racing Point and the Red Bull comparison there. Sweller and Ritzy are not too far off, only maybe 0.3 of a second, maybe even less than that. So it's very close all throughout the grid, and it's definitely showing. So look at even P7 and P8. Look at that, is almost, what 15 milliseconds?
Definitely 15 milliseconds between those two. Definitely.
I could just go look at that. Actually, that made it worse. Yeah, it was 15 milliseconds. I was right. Let's go through. Bobina's the only one that's yet to set a lap. He's now going through 19 now to go start his final run of the day. We're going to have one more time around, basically, 1 minute and 33 seconds. So if you're not out, you are not going out. So that's pretty much going to be Shamrock's out of qualifying, Scappy's out of qualifying, Ginger out of qualifying, Sweller, Ritzy, and Feta all are done for their time. That's going to be yellow flag in the first corner. It looks like some guys are actually coming out, so our timing may be glitched a bit, which is not great again.
Maybe. But all eyes is on Bobina at the moment. All eyes is on you, Bailey. Can you actually get that McLaren up into the top 10? Can you get that McLaren actually into the top 5? We will see from your time right now. Come on, Bobina. Zeno is counting on you.
Well, there was, in the last 6 races, he's gotten on the podium 4 times, so it's going to be quite a difficult deed indeed for him to not be on the podium if you're counting bets against him. Well, we got to see where it goes. 13th of the grid right now. He has only one more shot or so, unless he's fueled for 2 runs, to try to put his McLaren high up enough on the grid to challenge for that podium and maybe even that illustrious race win. Like you said earlier, it's difficult to overtake. It is a lot of DRS training, like it was in Silverstone, like it was in Hungary. It is possible to get stuck behind someone you're not supposed to because of your pace when you have a little bit more advantage on them because of the DRS train. Can we possibly see who can take advantage of that in the race and try to get a little bit of overtaking done? Maybe a little bit of strategy. You never know. But Bobina now is trying to do all he can to make sure he can get himself high enough on the grid to not have to worry about that. He wants pure pace. He wants pole.
Yeah, he looks like he really wants that pole position, or at least the top 5. He's looking really pacey, coming around the final corner. Bobina finally getting the lap done. Can he cross the line and gets up into P3? Bobina with a 141.5, putting his McLaren up in the top 5 like he wanted.
That is a starting lap from the Renault of Zaizu, I believe it was. The Alfa Romeo Furcho is out of qualifying. That is a crash. Savilo won.
Furcho's out of qualifying.
Hopefully we can get it before his car despawns on the grid. It looks like it may have been... How exactly has he lost the car there?
I don't understand that.
That is a
wow. Ooh. Okay.
He must have had a heck of a snap on entry. Wow, that is a bad crash indeed.
Hopefully Helmut Marko won't be tearing his hair out for that one, but man, that was it. I hope he's okay.
There we go. Timing's done. So Furcho's out of qualifying. P7 on the grid for him. Ginger P8. That's the maximum they can go. Killer P9 on the grid. What can our race winner from around to go to? He's around the final corner. P11 at the moment. A 42.4 for the Red Bull. He's now ahead of his teammate. A 41.7. Put Furcho behind Zdenev.
Red Bull looks like they're struggling a little bit, trying to get these times up. But can they work together? They're P7, P8 right by each other. So can they work together to get up to the racing points? We'll have to see.
The next one going to be completing his flying lap is going to be Zaizu in the Renault. First time back in a while. Zaizu's last Grand Prix was actually in Austria, where he got P5, so he's going to have a great start if he can try to grab some points here today. 13 drivers, like I've said numerous times, it is plenty of opportunity for points-paying positions. P11 at the moment, through the final corner here. DXC's retired in the pit lane. He's out of qualifying. And Zaizu goes P8 with a 41.7. That is 12 milliseconds separating him and Zdenev.
Ooh, wow. Luis has invalidated, but Feta has not. Feta is coming up to the final corners. Is he going to put that racing point up into provisional pole? Can Feta do it once again? Feta crosses the line. He's indeed, no, he misses out. He misses out.
And Luis doesn't improve because he's invalidated his, so he is provisional pole at the moment. Bobina's in the pit lane. Ritzy, he's coming up. He's P4. Can he try to improve? He needs 4/10. Sweller doesn't improve. Ritzy bails out, and that is qualifying done.
I think so Ritzy bailed out because he went onto the grass, coming to the final 2 corners.
That is true. But regardless, qualifying for round 11 is done and dusted here in Tier 2. Luis grabs pole position yet again. What a great lap it was. 4/10 clear of the pole time last season. Ironically, a Mercedes did a pole last year. They said it again here in Belgium. Now next to him, though, is Feta in P2 in the Racing Point, about 1/10 behind. That was a great lap from the Racing Point driver to get him on the front row of the grid. Bobina, I said he's on a streak. 4 out of 6 podiums in the last 6 races. He's now starting P3. Ritzy, the championship leader, his championship rival is ahead of him. He needs to try to go improve that and try to stop the spread. There's 12 points in between those two. He's behind him. DXD P5, Sweller P6, Zinav P7. He was a race winner a week ago. He's ahead of Zaizu in the Renault. Furcho is split by the Renault of Zaizu. Zaizu has actually split both Red Bulls. Ginger's P10, Killer's P11, Skeppy P12, and Shamrock will round out the grid in 13th.
Only 3 drivers will actually get a tire, so we can see those last 3 drivers going on some medium compound tires.
Now, by the way, I saw that at the corner of my the gap between P5 and DXD 6,000.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Overcast. Could we see some rain?
That is indeed something that could be. I mean, it's not out of the question. The Ardennes forest is definitely something that attracts rain in the past. It is no shallow water. It's almost a magnet for rain sometimes, so we could see it. I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, shut up. Isn't it a myth or a fact? The more vegetation trees you have in a forest draws in more water or something. No, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't deal with trees. I'm too dumb for trees.
He's trying so hard.
I'm doing the best I can. Trees, I don't know. I'm gonna say cars. Cars, Scappy and Rock both have bolted on the median to think about what they could do. Miller's taking risks, like I said. He could possibly how those hards get him. He's going to be on the hard compound tire. That is going to be an interesting strategy. In the top 10 have to qualify, or have to start on the qualifying 8 qualified through on. Everyone in the top 10 are on the sauce.
What I'm hoping is, I hope Killer doesn't try to do anything antsy in those hard compound tires. He's going to have to heat them up really well. And I see Skeppy and Shamrock getting the run on him pretty easily. So I just hope those 3 doesn't clash into each other and ruin their chances of getting up here and getting some points here today, because they could really use it, especially Skeppy and Killer.
Well,
actually,
what's going to be
Shamrock
interesting,
as well,
though... Wait a minute.
What's up?
What is... I'm confused. Ritzy, whenever you're done, go look at the points. Luis isn't on it.
Uh-oh.
I can't find him. I'm trying to figure out how many points back, what all this would, I don't know, dial in. But I believe the last time... I can tell you the last time he has won the Grand Prix was, what, a couple weeks ago. It was in Canada, was I right?
Yeah,
it was Canada. So he starts from pole. He's on a good position, but like we said with the slipstream, the DRS, and overtake going through, he could possibly be swamped with like a Feta, Bobina, and Ritzy.
But like
DXD, Sweller. You can definitely see, because going into the source is definitely it's prime overtaking opportunity. As you see many a times, you could also have colossal and utter, just complete failures and shipwrecks also happening. Look at 2012, Pastor Maldonado. Jumping the start by a mile, but then you have Romain Grosjean causing a giant pileup. Look at 2018. Nico Hulkenberg. You have Fernando Alonso flying over the top of Charles Leclerc. Look at 19? I think it was, right?
Depends on the situation.
Max went in the side of Kimi.
Oh, yeah, 2019.
I mean, it is always a source of some carnage if you do not play it safe. We'll see who can play it safe and who can grab the run of the run up to the Kemmel Straight through the Eau Rouge Raidillon complex. Well, will it be Luis? Will it be Feta? Will it be Bobina? Will it be Ritzy? Will it be DXT? Sweller? You never know. Zanav, Zaizu, Furcho. It could even be Ginger. It could even be a reverse strategy masterclass from Killer, Skeppy, or Shamrock. You'll never know. You have 22 laps to find out, and we will find out in due time. Shamrock and the Haas pulling up to the 13th grid spot on his medium compounded tire. And as he goes and starts the process to put the 5 red lights into sequence. The lights are on here, but they're not for the drivers. Look at the revs in the bottom right. The revs are starting to build. The lights are beginning to show, and it's time to go here at Belgium. And it's lights out, and away we go. That's a good initial start from the Racing Point of Feta. He's already alongside, going into the source of Luis on the outside. Down in row 2, that's a little bit of contact, though, I believe, in the back. Look at DXC. He's going to try to go to the inside, trying to make it through. Feta is under pressure from Ritzy. He's had a great start around the outside of Bobina, now going up into Raidillon and Eau Rouge. Luis leads Feta, leads Ritzy, leads Bobina, leads DXT, leads Sweller, leads Zaizu. Ritzio, he's going to have it on the slipstream. Here comes Feta. He's going to be in the slipstream. Who's going to be at the head going into Lecombe? Going into turn... What is it, 4?
Yep, turn 4. Hey, you got these
Feta's
guys.
gonna try it.
Like, oh, Ichigo going down the inside of Bobina. They're still side by side with each other. Ichigo still trying to hang down the outside. He's going down to the inside again. Ichigo moves up. It's a P4.
He's not done. Look at Sweller. He may try to make a move down into Revenge. He does not, though. And that is going to be Ritzy going wide. DXT is going to go trying to take a look at the Alfa Romeo and a no-name. Nothing can be done there. So from lap 1, Luis, Feta, Ritzy, DXT. Bobina has gone down 2 positions. Sweller has stayed about where he was. Let's go look at the position change.
Skeppy and Shamrock have both moved up 2 positions. They gained massively on that start. Being compound tires has really kicked in for those two, and they already in P10 and P11. Respectively for those 2 drivers.
Well, the gap in front between Feta and Luis are not growing that much. 5 tenths is the gap between those 2. Ritzy's about 7 tenths behind. The dirty air is going to start to kick in through second and a little bit of the 3rd sector, but going through is going to be a lot of straight line, and you're going to see a lot of slipstream overtake usage and maybe even some DRS in a couple laps time to go determine how close you really are. Bobina is going to try to look for a move in a coming laps time on DXT, who had a heck of a start going through up a position and into P4. Ritzy went around. That's Zaizu and Furcho.
There's a sketchy dive from Skeppy as well, because he decided to think he's going to get a little bit of overtake on Zaizu and Furcho. Those 2 going wide. Skeppy tried to make it look, but got caught up by the 2 drivers taking the tight line. And Skeppy almost loses out on the front wing. He almost loses out on the front wing, but he still kept the car intact.
Going through, you're going to see a little bit of gaps closing. Sweller is on the button a little bit, going through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Got a better run initially from Bobina, but he's kind of dying off a little bit. Feta, he's closing up to the back of Luis, though, but not enough time to try to go after the race, or the race leader at the moment. He had a little bit of slide, going a little bit too much on the curb, going into Lecombe, and cannot grab the run, going through into the exit of now into Revenge here. He locks up the left front tire, or the right front tire, trying to go chase down the Mercedes, and that's going to open the door for Ritzy and DXT. Now coming along, DXT's about a 2nd gap on the McLaren of Bobina, who's now holding up a little bit of a train from Sweller from Zaizu, or from Zanav to Zaizu, then Furcho. Then you have a little bit of almost a 2nd gap back to Skeppy on the mediums for the first one outside the top 10.
Zaizu goes wide. Zaizu's going wide, a long left-hander, but Furcho cannot capitalize on that as the soft compound tires are starting to pull away from Skeppy and Shamrock.
Zaizu goes a little bit deep, going into now into Stavilo 1. Let's see, can Furcho try to go and capitalize on it? That's Skeppy with a 3-second time penalty. That is going to be crucial here. If you can minimize the penalties, you will probably move up positions, because obviously it's going to be so close with the DRS and slipstream. It looked for a second. Furcho was going to try to go and make a move on Zaizu into turn 18 and 19, but Zaizu gets the button and pulls away just a little bit. He's safe for the moment. DRS is going to be activated this time by, so we're going to go back from looking at the fight for P8. Now we're going to look at the fight for P1. 9 tenths of a second. That's the gap between Feta and Luis. If Feta can stay within a second of the car in front, the drag reduction system, the rear wing flap will open. He'll grab a little bit more extra speed and less drag going down through the Kemmel.
Look at that jump Luis got after turn 1.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was amazing. And then you got
Well, he
Ritzy
stays
getting the jump
through.
on Feta, actually.
It's like Feta's car just does not get enough drive coming out of Les Sources, but it just going into Lecombe, it's just not enough time for Ritzy to go and try to make a move. Throughout the pack, though, you may have a little bit of another story, but it looks like everyone cannot seem to grab enough time through the DRS training. Ginger's lost the DRS going into, now into, Eleni. I need to learn the corner names a little bit more.
I don't even worry about corner names anymore. There's too much to remember.
I'm trying to do the best I can. A little bit of dirty air from DXC. You actually saw him go down a couple gears more than he needed to try to avoid a track extending warning. Like we said, that's going to be crucial. If you can stay away from grabbing too many of those, you may jump up a couple positions in the long run with obviously how close it is so far in the Tier 2 Championship and with the help of the DRS, Slipstream, and the long straights here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Right now, you're looking at least 3, 4, or 5 more laps on those salt compound tires, and Skeppy, Shamrock, and Killer will all be moving up spots to the top 3. Ginger is not really looking well. He's the only one in the salt compound tires. Actually, in the back, he cannot catch Shamrock and Skeppy at the moment. He's out of ERS on the straight. He's using everything he has to try to catch these medium compound tires, but he cannot push that Mercedes engine too much.
That's what I said earlier before whenever we were talking about the qualifying laps. In the DRS train, you can get stuck behind guys that are maybe a little bit too fast or actually a little bit off the pace compared to you, but since they have DRS, you cannot do so. Ginger was not able to take advantage of that, but obviously he's starting on the soft compound tire. Maybe the aware of Skeppy and Shamrock's mediums, or maybe just a little bit too good for the Mercedes of Ginger as he goes through and now up Rouge and Radillon.
And he does
He's
not
closing in a bit.
DRS. Nope, he does not. The Killer's closing up on him. Killer goes down the inside,
right-hand side,
and they're still side by side. And Killer gets the move done on hard compound tires. Oh my gosh. The hards are kicking in for Killer, overtaking the soft compound tires of the Mercedes engine of Smoking Ginger.
There's a long race still to go, so there's a lot of opportunities still to be had. The overtake mode and DRS can definitely be a part of your race now, but if you use too much overtake, it could definitely hurt you in the long run later. That is going to be something that Ginger may need to worry about.
Ooh.
Obviously, you said he ran out of ERS last time going into 18 and 19. He's going to have to watch that battery going through the rest of the Grand Prix. Looking through, Zanav is actually closing up quite a bit on the back of Sweller in the racing, or the Alpha Tauri, who's actually still in this train with DXD, has actually fallen about a second and a half off of Ritzy in front, who was not too far behind him. Maybe a lap or two ago. We could possibly see Bobina making a move down into the final corner here. Yes, he will. He'll go to the left-hand side. The McLaren, like we said, he's 4 out of 6 in the podiums in the last 6 races. He's going to try to start that charge again here at Spa. He's now up, around, and into P4. DXC's not going to be on the back foot. He's going to have DRS, but will that be enough to keep him in tow? Bobina will not have DRS. Sweller will, but he's not going to have enough time to go catch him into Les Sources.
Maybe Bobina should have waited a little bit longer. Waited for going up on Rouge to get Ichigo, make sure he's behind him for the whole Sector 2 and Sector 3. Because you don't want to have a car right behind you and you don't have ERS and DRS available for you. These guys they will swallow you whole, but Ichigo is low on ERS, as I was just talking about it, but he goes down the inside to the right-hand side of Bobina. Sweller is making a move on Bobina as well, but cannot complete it. He cannot follow Ichigo through. Then he backs off. But look, Zanav is actually making the move on Sweller. But he thinks better of it. These guys are a little bit antsy. They want overtakes done.
That's what I'm saying. These guys are using their overtake and their DRS now, but if you get too antsy, use too much of your battery, use too many of your track extending limits, and that is a yellow flag. I believe that is Skeppy around. And that is through No Name. He may have lost it at the exit of Rivarge on that curve. That that tall exit curve could definitely snap your car around if not careful. Looks like he has no damage. He will have to go and try to get back that time loss, 4 seconds to Skeppy, or to Ginger in front.
He was doing so well. Skeppy would have been leading this race after the soft compound tires came in for their stops. Man, well, he can actually make ground for this because he hasn't lost any front wing. He hasn't lost any damage. And his pace is not looking too far off, so he can make up the time that he lost just now. He's only 4 seconds behind Smoking Ginger, so it's not much. Just keep your head down and keep going.
DXD's now actually got and boned off into the pit lane. That's Furcho. Furcho's around. I saw it in the corner of my eye. He was trying to go make a move on his teammate, but had a little bit of contact with the right front of his Red Bull and the left front of his teammates. The teammates collide here at Spa. That is not good indeed for the Red Bull camp. We said we needed a good race for Red Bull. They had one a week ago. They had one slip out of their hands 2 weeks ago, and it looks like maybe it's the start of an end for so far in this race for the constructors, but there's still a long way to go. About 15, 16 more laps for Furcho to go try to recover that time. He actually didn't lose that much time, only one position to Zaizu in the Renault.
Well, Ichigo has made the first jump onto the medium compound tires. He looks like he's going to go, like, nurse throws tires to the end. Well, Will, Luis, Ritzy, Feta, Albina, Sweller, Snav, Zaizu, and Furcho, will they all bite to what Ichigo has done? It takes one car to get everybody to start pitting. It takes one car to get everybody to bite on their strategy. Will that happen here in the Belgian Grand Prix?
Well, the undercut is so strong here, especially because of the, that is Zaizu. He actually, like I said, you can never talk about anything with me, because if I say something, something more important happens. Anyway, the undercut, it's always about what the undercut. I always talk about the undercut and what it means, and someone obviously has something else happen. Come on! Anyway.
Speaking of something else, Furcho's around.
Oh my god, that is a yellow flag. That is Furcho.
Furcho's around. And I think he just hit his front wing on the wall.
He did. He hit the front wing. He has no right front end plate because he hit the front wing on the wall. That is so unfortunate for his race. Like we said, there's a lot of laps for him to recover. He didn't lose much time. Well, he lost a little bit more, and now a front wing change. Ritzy's actually going to be the next one to box in. He's going to try to make the jump, try to get the undercut on Feta and Ritzy in front. He's going to be so far the only one going through and trying to make a stop on lap 7. It was DXD on lap 6. Now on lap 7 is going to be Ritzy Raccoon.
DXD is about to get held up a little bit by Furcho, by the way. But nah, Furcho is able to go into the pits cleanly. Ichigo's going around cleanly. Can he get the jump on Ritzy? No, he would not. He would actually probably pull right behind Ritzy. So the overcut
for Zanav. Oh, it's probably because of traffic as well.
Speed of Zanav! Hold on. He just went down the inside of Sweller. Zanav just moved up to
Red Bull's, one Red Bull's mistake and a little bit of problems turned into another one success going through. We had a shot of the Red Bull in the pit garage guarding a new front wing, and you have a shot of the other Red Bull grabbing down the inside and grabbing P4 away from Sweller. Oh, what a different race these two Red Bull drivers are having.
Very different. And you see two Alfa Romeo drivers right next to each other. Ritzy has already completed his stop. He looks like he's going to be going towards the end. Can he pull Skeppy along with him? Can he pull Skeppy up there to where he needs to be?
Well, the DRS train only needs 1 second, and Skeppy's outside of that DRS zone, so if he does want a little bit of slipstream and tow and a little bit of DRS, he will not be able to grab it on this occasion. But going through, you may start to see some... Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Where did Feta come from?
What do you mean?
He was about 0.8 a second behind Luis. Now he was 0.5, and now he's in the pit lane. Feta bites the bullet. He's going to try to do the undercut on Luis and the Mercedes. And so does Zanav, and the Red Bull. Sweller follows him suit. Shamrock will stay out, obviously, because he's on those mediums. Killer will stay out, and Ritzy, we'll see how many points paying positions he will grab because of this undercut. He's going to try to he did 1 lap earlier than Feta. Feta just put on those mediums. It's going to be a shorter pit lane exit. It's going to be a lot harder for Feta to grab that. It's like behind.
So the undercut has worked well for Ritzy, but Ichigo is still right behind his teammate. He is not getting any ground from him. What has happened to Ichigo?
Actually, wait a minute. I found out another problem here. Zanav's on the softs.
Softs off mediums for Zanav? Huh?
It may have been a game glitch because he probably wanted those mediums and it put him on the softs, which is so unfortunate. His race is now going to be a little bit more complicated. He's going to have to be a lot more aggressive and try to go and make these soft medium probably work. I mean, I don't think a soft hard would be a great idea, but you never know.
Yeah, because we still got drivers have confirmed they will be ranked towards the end.
Ooh. So I know what Zanav's strategy is now. Zanav's hoping is coming a little bit early so he can only use these softs, take advantage of it. a set of mediums, try to take advantage of the faster, softer rubber and not have to worry about doing it. Skeppy got penalty. He is now, along with Zaizu, the only two with penalties on the grid.
Speaking of Skeppy, he spun around. Got too early on the gas. He got too early on the gas and has lost the car into the bus stop. Whew.
Well, whenever you think of Spa as a difficult circuit, you usually think of maybe around Eau Rouge Radion as the complex. That's probably where you're probably thinking a lot of drivers will make those mistakes at. Well, apparently not today. Stavelo's been the problems for a lot of these drivers. Shamrock goes up into P1. Ritzy actually jumps Luis. It's going to be close between him and Feta, though. Feta may grab a run on the Mercedes with Luis. So Ritzy now goes from third to first. What an undercut. And Skeppy is now retired from the session in the pit lane.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Luis doesn't have Dia up. He has a little bit of the overtake. Not enough straight left, though. He just doesn't want to get it done right now because it's not necessarily enough space to grab that move down into Lecombe. But for Ritzy, this has paid out to his favor 100%.
Yes, this is very well paid out to Ritzy's. Whoa. Why is it still yellow? Oh, that's Skeppy's car.
I think his car is going back on the track.
Well, yeah, Ritzy has played his cards well. He's got ahead of Luis and Feta in one pit stop.
Speaking of Feta, he's actually a lot closer to Luis. Luis is probably struggling to get his tires warmed up a little bit right now, it looks like.
Probably isn't, but they both, that corner, that left-hand corner that they just went through, they both struggle to get on that corner because they both lose their car when they get on that curve. They need to watch that. I've seen Luis do it earlier. Now Feta just did it a little bit just now. So they need to watch how they...
Chicane?
Yep, they need to watch how they approach that.
Yep, I saw a couple drivers using that in qualifying and underselling the cars. Obviously, you could do that in qualifying, and I've seen a lot of drivers do it in the race itself, but it's just maybe not worth the time gain because you could possibly lose it, like Antonio Giovinazzi did in 2020. He probably... I don't know why I said he probably. But Feta grabs the fastest lap of the race so far, 45.3. And Zanav goes even faster, 44.9. He's actually overtaken the racing point of DXD Ishigo and up into P6 for the Red Bull driver. He's on those softs, so he's going to try to go and hope for that rain to come earlier so he does not have to go onto another set of, actually onto a set of mediums like the rest of the grid has done. So, actually, with that knowledge in our minds, that actually explains Killer's decision to go on the hards here.
Well, that does explain why Killer is on the hards. And Skeppy, I'm done with F1. Game isn't fun anymore. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Skeppy. We was rooting for you, man. Well, I was rooting for you.
Oh, what? What has happened there? Luis tried. It looks like he tried to. I don't even know what that was, but Luis went deep through into Rivage, and now Feta's now up into P4.
Oh, they're going side by side into this?
Back?
Oh, switchback. Switchback.
I am confused. Yes, it is a switchback. He's going to try for this.
And he does not get it. Luis has too much
so
power.
Confused what's happened there. Luis looked like he was trying to break the toe going down into Rivage, but then he went way too deep. For a second, I thought he had a puncture. Then Feta went up the inside. Then Feta looked like he had either the worst exit known to humankind or he had an illegal overtake. Regardless, Luis is back through, and Ritzy's now almost 1.5 seconds ahead when he was actually under threat with the DRS with these two.
We got somebody in the chat said, best strategy is mediums to hard at lap 3. These guys are cheating. Well, you can call it cheating if you want, but we have higher ups. We have literally esports drivers that have told us soft stuff mediums is the best strategy around Belgium. It's very doable. It is very well manageable. So these guys are on the optimal strategy compared to what you just said.
Oh, Bobina's gotten past DXD. This is a little bit of a scrap here. Look at this. That is a 4-car train. Zaizu, that is Sweller, DXD, and Bobina. Bobina gone up the inside through Lissors on the racing point of DXD. But like you said earlier, Bobina should have waited a little bit because now DXD is going to grab the DRS on the McLaren going down to the Kemmel Straight. If he's not careful, he have to watch out for Sweller down behind. Here comes DXD on the McLaren. He's going to go to the left-hand side around the long way through Lecombe. Is it going to work?
Ooh,
through, and yes, he does.
They touched a little bit. Bobina thought about blocking Ichigo. Yeah, Bobina thought about blocking Ichigo, trying to get him around the outside, but Ichigo is able to get through, but they did touch the back right tire of Ichigo has touched the front left tire of Bobina, but they made it out unscathed.
Yes, they have indeed. Now, one person that's not been let out unscathed, though, is Ritzy. His gap of 1.2, yeah, scratch that. It's now about 0.5. Luis is coming.
I know more. I'm better than esports driver. I choose not to be in esports. Okay, kid.
Luis looks like at the moment he is actually on the mediums, looking a little bit quicker than the likes of Ritzy at the moment. Can he try to go? Obviously, he'll have the DRS assistance going through into Les Sources and obviously into Les Combes and through the 2 longest DRS straights of the track. Obviously, the only 2 DRS straights of the track. I'm just going to shut up now.
Feta looks like he's lost track of Luis now, as Luis is really on the back of Ritzy. Ritzy needs to defend all he can from Luis, as they both have the same amount of ERS. They're coming up Eau Rouge. Will Luis get the slipstream and the suck that he needs? Yes, he will. He's coming. He's going around the left side. And he's through up into P3. Ritzy has nothing to defend from that. He has to slide right back into P4.
Well, that undercut, obviously, it worked at the moment, but it didn't work in the long run. Feta is now going to be chasing him down, but he is having a little bit of a gap to close in. 2 seconds is the gap between him, but Ritzy has definitely gained a significant amount. But one thing I saw at the corner of my eye is there was a little bit of a scrapple going through. Les Sources saw DXD get past the McLaren of Bobina. The Bobina was actually overtaken by Zaizu and Sweller. But then going through the top of Radeon, Bobina was actually past both of them again. So this battle for 7th is heating up as of late.
Yeah, it's heating up, and you know what else is heating up? Mother Nature is actually calling names. She's making her move as those dark clouds have rolled in. It's 12 out of 22 laps. Will we see some rain in the next few 10 minutes? A 3-wide pass. There was a 3-wide pass?
I'm guessing that's what it was between Bobina, DXD, and Zaizu. But going through, Zaizu will actually have a little bit of
Virgil has made contact into the wall!
Oh, no. Like it was in qualifying, it looks like Stavilo 1 is not the best site for the Red Bull of Fercho. It looks like it was the inside barrier this time compared to the outside one in qualifying. Is that another front wing change? Yes, it will be another front wing change for the Red Bull.
Yes, it will. I think Fercho will be basically a little bit out of this race now, as everybody else has made their stop, but Shamrock and Killer. Unfortunate events for the Red Bull driver. And we have rain, people. We have rain. Mother Nature has made her move. We have rain.
Well, there's a couple of battles to kind of look at on. Fercho has retired to the pit lane. That is unfortunate for his race. Obviously, it was going so well, but there's a couple of mistakes that happened through, obviously, Stavilo and going through in... actually, it was Stavilo both times. I just realized that. Stavilo 1 happened to be the downfall of Fercho. Sweller's been given a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him in his fight against Bobina, DXD, and Zaizu. But speaking of fights, we have one brewing up right now. That is going to be Killer and Shamrock up in front. But they had the leaders of Luis and Ritzy right behind. Those two have made the stops, but the guys in front, Killer and Shamrock, have not. And Shamrock and Killer right now are just hoping that it continues to rain. Rain harder, rain faster. That they can possibly grab on the intermediate tires, that they can just take this one stop. Because look how much the track position they got.
Luis is right on the back of Killer, though. Luis is, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Luis is right on the back of Killer, and Ritzy is right on the right side of Luis. They go 3 wide into the final 2 corners. Oh, my God.
Contact.
Oh, my God. That was a little sketchy. Did everybody come out unscathed? Everybody came out unscathed from that.
Surprisingly.
And Feta has moved Killer out the way.
Well, now Feta's in this fight. Feta was actually about 2 seconds off, as you saw. But look behind, look at Killer and Zaizu. Zaizu's actually been closing up, or not Zaizu. Zenav's been closing up on the back of Feta for a couple laps now. He's now in this train and fight for a podium, if not a race victory. Luis, he's going to be under pressure, though. Here comes Ritzy with the DRS and overtake. He's going to go to the right-hand side of the Mercedes. He's going to be cleanly through, going into Les Combes, and going to be up back into provisional P1 and actual P2, but we never know. Shamrock has been on these mediums for 13 laps. Ginger's actually put on those intermediate tires. Keep in mind, just look at his timing sectors compared to the rest of the grid. Is it time for intermediates?
Maybe, but Nav has made the move on Killer. Killer is really struggling on those hard compound tires. He is slowing down a lot and losing the front pad. And it's having Bobina and Sweller, along with Ichigo and Zaizu, catching him up quickly.
Speaking of Killer, he's been given a 3-second time penalty.
Yes, indeed he does. This rain is really picking up a little bit. It's still, it's still light rain, but it's picking up gradually though. Shamrock is gonna try his hardest to defend from Richie, but not with that red light shining like that.
Well, it's going to be interesting because obviously whenever you put on those intermediates, it's going to be definitely defining your race. That is a little bit of a wiggle, and Ritzy will go around the outside cleanly, but he's going to be late on the brakes. Shamrock is. He's going to try to stick his nose in. He's just not close enough, not enough grip. Oh! Ritzy had to skate that one in. He goes to the pit lane, so Shamrock. Well, I guess that answers my question. It is definitely intermediate.
Oh,
we got
wing damage just now. Somebody had wing damage.
Yes, it is. Who is that?
It looked like a Mercedes.
Is that Luis? It's Luis?
Luis had wing damage. Oh
Luis has a front wing change. That is detrimental to his race.
Wow.
So, let's see here. Look at this. I was talking about, and so is a wing change from Killer as well.
Ichigo couldn't
so there
go
maybe
to the pits.
It wasn't an unscathed move down in the final chicane. DRS has been disabled.
Ichigo is stuck out, hung to dry. He cannot go into the pits because of his teammate. Oh, man. And these guys are not too far off from him. He's losing
5
time
tenths,
drastically.
or actually 5 seconds, sorry, is the gap between Ritzy and DXD.
Man. I think Federer really just hung Ichigo out to dry.
He really did, but unfortunately, I mean, in the team game, when you're fighting as close to people that DXD was, I'd rather take that time lost in the pits than have an entire time driving this 7-kilometer track on slicks.
I would have took that double stack.
Well, I was talking about how the grid may be shaken up with a little bit of rain, or I was trying to before everyone rudely interrupted me by going into the pits. Anyway, but look at this. Shamrock started outside the top 10. He started down in P13. He's in P3 right now.
Right. And
DXD's off the track, actually.
Ritzy's actually already got.
He's trying to skate through because he's just no grips on those softs. He's going to try to do the best he can to keep it out of a barrier. He's just not got the grip.
I think that's what Ichigo's race done, honestly, because he should have took that double stack.
What a save.
These are nice saves his teammates coming through now.
Yeah. And it's just unfortunate for his race. So, he's not going to be able to grab it and recover this, obviously, because, I mean...
Unless we have a safety car. I don't know.
That is true.
He has no penalties, no problems. He's been pretty much clean majority of this race, so...
With the pit, that may put him out around 10th or 11th, depending on how much time he loses. It may put him out actually in 11th. It's going to be close. Actually, he has a front wing. No, it doesn't. It looks like it was a front wing change. So it is just going to be intermediate tires onto the Racing Point driver, and he's going to try to go back out. He's going to be between the likes of Ginger and Zanav, or Zaisu, sorry, in P10.
Now that I think about it, with this DRS being disabled, Shamrock has really done himself well. Because he doesn't have to worry about guys being a little bit faster on the straight line speed with DRS behind him. He can challenge them when it comes to pure straight line speed.
Yes, he can. Obviously, Feta is trying to close in to the back of the Haas, but obviously the intermediate conditions make it a little bit more difficult, especially with the dirty air. It's just the spray kicks up, and you're going to see less visibility and obviously less downforce in the wet because you're sliding around. The wet surface of the track does not bind to the tires as well as the slicks were. So it's going to be interesting to see if Feta can try to make his move. He's definitely closing up to the front or the back of Shamrock in P2 at the moment. He's kind of struggling for grip in the Haas for second.
Not only the track is being very slippery for these guys, But you have to. These type of corners are not easy to negotiate with these type of tires, especially if you want to take them flat out. Like you have corners that you took flat out in a dry session, but now you have wet. You have to really just negotiate with the gas, negotiate with the tires, basically nurse the car around these corners a lot more than you have to in the dry.
Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, Shamrock's not the only one that's actually taking advantage of this rain. Look at Zanav. He put it onto those softs, and it's definitely worked out for him. He was down over there battling with Bobina and Sweller and Killer in the battle for 6th, but look at this. He's up in 4th, ahead of Luis in the Mercedes, and has now on the back of Feta. He's trying to go for a podium here. A win a week ago, and possibly a podium here at Spa. Could it be a 2 for 2 for him?
Yeah, Zanav has really benefited, especially Luis. Luis has not benefited because of that front wing change he had to go through in the pits. It's not even on track. It was in the pits right there. Man, that's really a bummer for Luis, but things happen.
Well, the last time that there was a wet affected race here was Canada. And the winner of that race was Luis, but we saw Ritzy had extremely strong pace initially on those wets. And when the intermediate transition is also the same pace, he had a little bit more pace than a lot of the other field, a lot of the rest of the field here. Could it be the same thing again? Luis obviously is gaining a tad bit, but just with no DRS and the type of corners like you said, it's going to be difficult to overtake and trying to regain those positions back with only about 4 and a bit laps to go, or actually about 5 and a bit laps to go. It's just not enough time. Killer's bringing another 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt him in his race against Zaizu, his teammate, and Sweller and Bobina. Let's go look at those laps, actually. Penalty in the fastest laps being shown. Fastest lap at the moment is going to be 44.9. So unless it dries out, Zanav is going to be your fastest lap point award winner. And as for the penalties, it is 3 seconds for Shamrock, for Bobina, for Sweller, and 9 seconds for Killer. And Zaizu has a 3-second his way as well.
Yeah, Zanav and Shamrock have really benefited strongly, like you said, from the wet coming in so early. And we questioned Zanav at first for going onto the soft compound tires, but hey, he's made it work. But Luis is smelling blood in the water. He's closing down the gap to these guys very quickly. It was 2.7 at the end of the second all sector, but now it's at 2.1. He's really trying his hardest to close that gap.
Now it's just going to be, can he have enough time? Obviously he has to overtake Zaizu, or I'm sorry, Zanav. My eyes are deceiving me. Zanav, Feta, and obviously Shamrock as well if he wants to get back to the fight with Ritzy. That's on top of the about a second he has to gain to, about 2 seconds he has to gain to Zanav, then a further half a second to Feta, then actually overtaking Feta and Zanav. That is DXD and Zaizu battle for 9th. Zaizu has actually been relegated to the 10th position. Maybe a mistake for the Renault driver as DXD is actually up. And now 2 points to his name on those fresh intermediates.
Yeah, you were saying that Luis will have to get past Zanav Feta, but he would also have to get past Shamrock, who is 3 seconds away from Ritzy. If he gets past Shamrock, he still has 3 seconds to catch Ritzy. It is not easy in these intermediate conditions, as Ritzy's looking really comfortable, calm, and composed in the Belgian Grand Prix in the wet track.
Well, one thing I actually did notice is with this 3-second time penalty to Shamrock, right now, everyone in the window, let's go through the gap to the leader here. So 3.3 seconds is the gap from Shamrock to Ritzy. He has a 3-second time penalty being applied. That'll actually narrowly put him behind the Mercedes of Luis and about 3 and a bit seconds ahead of Bobina in the McLaren. So,
hey, it'll still
right
be the
now,
best points for him.
It is. It definitely, like I said, he needs a good finish here. He needs to break that barrier for points. His best finish prior to today's race was P12 a week ago in Hungary. His best finish right now could be F-Digital P2. We still have about 3 and a bit laps to go. Going up through Rouge and Ready on now.
We'll have to see. But I'm just looking at Ritzy. He's trying to increase the gap as he's put overtake on, but he cuts it off coming to the end of this long straight. He has increased the gap
cut you
by
off
a second.
Here comes Zanav.
Uh-oh.
Down the inside in Lecombe. He was closing up through Erosion Radion and got a better run. He just could not get it. He tried to peek his nose in, but was not able to get the move done. So Feta now knows he's now going to be under pressure if he doesn't get a move on.
Yeah, one mistake from Feta will gain Zanav another position, and Luis is not too far off from these guys. He has closed down the gap to under a second, and he's right behind Zanav.
Luis just looks so comfortable in the wet. I mean, we saw a couple laps ago, actually, I may have been last lap. He had a little bit of a slap in the Pouon corner, but obviously he's still closed up, so it doesn't matter what he does. Apparently he just gains time.
Oh, Zanav gets a
Driver's
snap!
in front of Zanav.
Oh, man, Zanav gets a stab, and he was right behind Feta waiting on him to mess up. And Luis has capitalized on Zanav's mistakes. Red Bull have really bit. Oh, man, they bit more than they could chew on this one. Can Zanav make that
So
position back?
unfortunate. Well, obviously he will be, if he can try to stay in that 3-second window, he still could possibly be on for a 4th place finish here. But it's just not the podium he wants. He wants to try to get past Luis. But Luis is going to be trying to go close it down. That's a little bit of a mistake traction loss for the Mercedes. Is that going to be enough for Zanav to try to go and try to catch up to Luis? Not enough. Not enough straight into Le Source here today.
Oh, we got a yellow, we got a yellow, we got a yellow. That is
DXD.
Go around. Unfortunate.
Well, that
for
is fully
Ichigo.
around at Blanchimont.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Ichigo. He's been left hung out to dry for an extra lap. And now he is spotted in the wet condition. But
It's not over yet. He's now actually fighting Ginger for that one.
oh,
final
another.
place. So that's a
oh,
that's Killer's out.
Killer. Safety car? Nope.
It is at the top of
wish.
Radion.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was a.
That is a
That's
awful
a big crash.
I think the tether actually came off the Renault as well. I think I saw a wheel behind the car. That is a pretty significant crash into the barriers.
As the marshals get
No
over
safety
there
car.
to get Killer out of his car, make sure he's okay. We'll check back with you on that one. But like Skeppy said in chat, will this actually be Ritzy's first win? Because right now he's looking really comfortable in that Alfa Romeo.
I mean, this is his race to lose. He has the gap. He has 3 seconds. So even if he gets a time penalty, he still has enough of a margin of error to actually get past. Speaking of getting past, Zaisu is actually, or Zanav's past Luis. I don't know when that happened, but here we are. But Feta's gap to Shamrock's actually increased slightly. He may be under pressure for Zanav and the Red Bull at the moment.
Yeah,
Zanav's
not
looking
only. My bad. Not only is Zanav is actually getting past Luis, he's actually looking to get past Feta now. But Luis is not letting him go anywhere. Bobby has left it. Lobby, no, Pavita, you just no.
Send him in back. I'll keep the updated action for these three as Zanav's right onto the rear wing of Feta up in front, 0.3 of a second going down in the run to Eau Rouge and Radion. The bottom part, Eau Rouge, is definitely not as tough as the top part here in the wet conditions. Feta loses the back end a slight bit. That's going to gain a lot of problems down the straight. Here comes Zanav. He's on the button again. Feta's going to be also on the button. Both rain lights are showing because that's in the intermediate conditions, obviously. So no ERS, I guess, advantages at the moment previously. Not enough straight, and Zanav has to stay behind, but that's also a second gap to Luis going into the braking zone. Luis gained actually about a second, or about, oh, actually that's a 3-second time penalty.
Oh.
So that actually means we may have a completely different race now.
That might be Shamrock getting P4, honestly, if he stays in front of Luis.
It could.
That's actually will be
He has only
huge.
about, it will be huge.
That'll be huge
It's
for
about,
his
what, a lap
confidence.
and a
That'll
half.
be huge for the points.
With the 4th place finish, which is 12 championship points, that will put him ahead of Furby and into P15 of the championship, and about 9 points behind the Ferrari of Tazanic, who also could not show up today for the Grand Prix in Spa. Feta with a little bit of a mistake, but that's not going to be good enough for Zanav to go close up. We'll go to our race leader, 3.5 seconds, the gap going through 16 and Blanchimont, which is turned 17 to the chicane for the penultimate time as we're going to start onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, and that is actually going to be a change in position. I believe Zaizu and actually it may have been Sweller and Bobina.
Indeed, it was Sweller and Bobina because Sweller was behind Bobina, and Bobina just now got back into the lobby and he's able to carry on. Sweller was hot on his tail as soon as he left the lobby. But look, Sweller has let Bobina by.
I may have been either an illegal overtake or maybe just some common courtesy from Sweller to get Bobina back ahead of him. But we're going to go on through 11 corners, 16 corners, 19 corners. I can't get it right. You know what? We're going to go on the time. Here comes Feta, though. He's going to be on the button, but he's not going to be on this button as Zanav. He's going to have more of a run, go to the left-hand side, around the cone. It's going to be contact. Oh, more contact, but Zanav's actually gone up ahead of Feta. He's not going to try to go chase after Zanav. But I'm sorry, Shamrock. But Luis is going to try to go chase after Feta for P4 on road. But obviously, Luis has a 3-second time penalty that Feta does not. So Feta right now will sit at a minimum of P3.
Yeah, Feta trying to squeeze a little
Luis. Mistake going into no name. Obviously, it was really close to keeping out of the barriers, but he keeps it out and keeps it clean.
Feta trying to squeeze Zanav a little bit, but Zanav was able to get by before Feta could squeeze him enough to stay in front of him. If any of Zanav, if Feta makes any kind of mistake in these final few corners, we can see Shamrock on the podium.
We could here, but let's finally cut back to Ritzy Raccoon. Well, he got second in Bahrain. A win was stolen away from him. He was 64 one-thousandths of a second away from a win in Holland. He was second in Canada. He was second in Azerbaijan. He had a win taken away from him in Britain. And he got third in Hungary. But guess what, Ritzy? You have won the Belgian Grand Prix in Tier 2. Finally.
Get in there, mate. Get in there.
Zanav gets P2 ahead of Feta. Shamrock will grab P4. Luis P5. Bobina comes across the line to be in P6. Sweller will actually jump him for P6. Bobina P7. Zaizu will come across in P8. DXD 11 seconds back will grab P9. And Ginger will grab the final points paying positions with the fastest lap going to Zanav. So a full 19 points going to the Red Bull team.
Get in there, Witzy. You finally got your win, man.
Well, it's about a season and a race, technically. Oh my god, DXD. I thought he didn't cross the line, but he did. Good. Alright, well, that concludes the race here at Spa on track.
And Shamrock, yes, indeed, he really deserved that driver of the day.
Just like race.
Ritzy in the cutting up and scored. Very well earned, and very patient. It's about time you actually got this win.
It was definitely about time. It was taken away from him through a steward's inquiry in Bahrain. And like I said, in Holland, it was a photo finish. I don't think he could have chosen a more difficult track and a more difficult condition and race to grab that first victory of the season. Alongside him, podium once again, and Nav once again. That's 2 weeks in a row on the podium. It was first last week. It was second this week. He also grabs the fastest lap. So Ritzy will win the Belgian Grand Prix. It's taken him a little bit over... How many races, indeed? That's about, what, 12 races since his last win in Tier 2. He finally gets that one done. Zanav will get P2, Feta will grab P3, Shamrock will grab P4, and the driver of the day. And Luis will be P5 after a front wing change and a penalty that put him on the back foot. Sweller will grab P6, Bobina P7, Zaizu and the Renault grabs P8, DXD should go in P9, and Ginger will grab the final points paying position in P10. Killer and Furcho and Scampy, all three have DNF from the Grand Prix, but obviously due to the 90% rule, Killer has finished the race, technically non-DNF.
Uh-oh. I think we have a little controversy between Bobina and Sweller because I think both of them had 3 second time penalties. I don't know. We'll have to get that sorted out in stewards. But
Oh, they did. Good.
Zanav joining us? Trying to see.
Oh no, he doesn't have a mic. And no, he does have a mic. He's just English is not his first language.
Ah, okay. Well,
Yes.
let's get on to the driver of the day, Drunken Shamrock. My man came from the back of the grid, has done an amazing job to stay in front of everyone. Even when the rain came, he was able to get on those enters. How did you do it, Shamrock? Tell us about the race, man. Well, with the time penalty, you got P4. You have really earned yourself a top 5 finish, man. Especially with that performance. Now, and you actually got your first points in the season too. So, all right, let's get on to our podium finishers. We don't have Zanav in here, but we're gonna get on to Feta Cheese. Feta, tell us about your race and your fight with Luis.
Well, I'm just tired and it's again, it's kind of bittersweet. Qualifying, me and Luis were giving each other slipstream for no apparent reason. I don't know. He started giving me slipstream, so I gave him some back, and then, but in the end, he obviously got the pole. I made a few mistakes on that lap, but P2 still good. Um, the race, Ritzy, Luis, and me were swapping positions, mostly Ritzy and Luis, but honestly, what I learned is that I need to pass people earlier because I feel like I'm a bit patient when going for moves, and Ritzy was flying. He was just, I think, the fastest driver in the whole race. But yeah, the rain came and I didn't practice at all. So it really took me a few laps to get used to the car, and I was wanting to pass Shamrock so badly, but I mean, I was just like, you know what? He has a penalty. I'll just sit back, and ultimately Zinav got me in the end. Which, without the penalty, obviously I would have been P4 outside of a podium position again. So I don't really like feel that it's a podium because of that penalty. But I guess it's still a good result, but it just shows again that I need to improve on my race pace because I always fall off. I feel like these guys always have the upper hand, so that's something. It's a huge confident booster again. I've gotten a lot of consistent races. This is my third consistent race in a row where I've secured a top 5 finish. So yeah, GG's.
Very well explained and very well. I can hear the confidence in your voice, man. You have really earned it. It's third, second race, like you said. So, with that being said, congratulations, Feta. You have still earned your top 5 and earned a podium at that. But now, we get on to P1. Ritzy Raccoon! You finally got your win. And finally got a win in the Belgian Grand Prix. Tell us about how you did it. Went.
Well, thanks for hyping me up. It's definitely definitely appreciated. Yeah, no, this was a fun race. I messed up qualifying hard. I don't know if you guys caught it, but my final flying lap, I kind of geoed it, you know, just slightly. And then into the race, I was thinking of doing CNAV's big brain move of going onto the softs because I thought there was gonna be brain near, but I decided that the softs were gonna fall off and they were gonna have the pace. So I decided to pay a lap before the Jeff told me to, trying to go for the master cut, and it actually I was very surprised. And then yeah, then Shamrock and Killer had an absolutely amazing strategy as well. They were able to almost be ahead of me and Luis and Feta coming into the intercondition, but just didn't work out the way. But still, congratulations to those guys. Yeah, this race was fun. You know, it's definitely something that I'm gonna remember. Yeah, I'm just happy I didn't die.
Well, happy you didn't die, but you finally got your maiden podium, your maiden win, my guy. After so many second place finishes, coming close in Holland. But you've broken that chain. You've broken that streak. You now a race winner in Tier 2.
Yeah, feels nice. Yeah, it feels alright.
I was just vibing, you know.
Yeah, it really was. Not gonna lie.
And now we get
God.
from our head commentator the last few words of the night.
Well, when you go AFK for a couple seconds, forget you were actually doing interviews. So no one got their cars except for Ritzy, so there you go. Anyway,
That's tough.
Ritzy, yeah, it is tough. It is very sad pain. Anyway, Ritzy finally got it done, and that is a long time coming. Well, that's, as of on track, that is it for us here at Tier 2, but there's definitely still possibilities for stewards and Corys to change the finishing orders. So tune in next week to find out exactly. Actually, correction, funny joke. We actually do not come back next week. We have a break week after the Belgian Grand Prix, so we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at the Italian Grand Prix for Monza. So that's going to be a fun time indeed. The 15th of May. So mark it on your calendar. You can see a lot of slipstream and a lot of DRS trains. You thought it was bad here? Oh, just you wait, honey. It can get worse. Anyway, as for the rest of BRL, we are not done yet. You can see Monday on 7 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern, respectively, Tier 5 and Tier 6 go around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit and do their Round 11 and their Belgium Grand Prix. But for myself, Hey Catcher, and Echo up in the booth, as well as Ritzy, as Zanav unfortunately could not be there, but I bet he would say the same thing, as well as Feta and Shamrock and everyone in the Tier 2 Championship. We wish you a good night and peace.
Tune in for Tier 1 next.